Hey everyone, this is Mr. Taylor. I hope you are all doing well. We are at the final home stretch of the semester, and so I'm going to make this as simple as possible. I'm going to put together a module that touches on the high parts of academic writing, which is research, how you conduct research, what are the initial steps from developing a topic or taking an idea and transforming that into research questions, and then going out into the academic world and pulling sources, credible sources that answer those questions that you will then present in your research paper. So I'm going to try to make this as easy as possible. I do want to say that the only assignments that you have remaining that are major assignments in the class are going to be the research paper, which is the focus, the major focus of the class, and then the final assignment is the final writing portfolio, which is simply a 1 to 2 page reflection of how your writing has grown, how you've noticed certain nuances or problems in your writing, and how you plan on fixing those moving forward. The assignment instructions for both of those are included on Canvas in their respective modules. So you go to modules and you'll see the research paper section module, and then you'll see the writing portfolio section, and you'll find detailed instructions and a grading rubric for each of those. So you'll go and read those. That's part of the reading assignments for the modules anyway. So go check that out. Take note of the deadline. Both of those final assignments are due Friday, May 13th at 5 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Those have to be submitted by 5 o'clock for credit. So it's really important to check those assignment instructions. This first week's module, the most important thing to do is to read the reading assignments. They provide a succinct, easy to understand, step-by-step process flow for research and how you do the steps, how you conduct the background research, how you generate research questions. All of that kind of stuff is in the reading. It's really important. So that's why there's a delay in me posting these lecture videos, because I want to ensure that everyone is taking the time to read and understand those readings. What I will do is I'm going to post my own feedback, my own process, my own notes that supplement that reading. And then you're really going to learn by doing this. You may have had other classes where you've conducted research. I'm going to show you the correct way to do it. I'm going to clear up some common misconceptions. One other note that I want to point out is that you must understand the argumentation section before you can write a sufficient research paper. You have to understand ethos, pathos, logos. You have to understand how those are balanced, because when you go out and pick sources to include in your research paper, you as an academic are evaluating each of those sources on their ethos, pathos, and logos, but you're also crafting your own balance of ethos, pathos, logos in your own writing, with the way you write, the words you use, your authoritative tone, how credible your content is, how logical it is. So those components are really crucial. You have to constantly keep that in the back of your mind. Anywho, I'm going to go ahead and jump through the slides here. Let's go ahead and one thing that research is not, these are the common misconceptions. Research is not rummaging for information. Now you'll remember, and you're right in your assumption if you're thinking that the way you develop your topic is similar to the contextual essay that we've done already. You will still filter your idea and your topic through the critical analytical framework. You'll need to go out and conduct some initial background research to understand a little bit more about your topic. That can be a very basic type of background research, a Google search. The idea is just to understand more about your topic, understand the different subcomponents or variables, causes and effects. And keep in mind, this is where you remember you can conduct that background research on a topic you may be interested in, and then create a contextual list of all those pieces of that topic that you may want to study. And then ask yourself, how are these ideas different? How are they similar? How do some of these relate? Are there any relationships like cause and effect, implication and effect? And so you follow that same critical analytical process, that same framework, but by the time you have a topic and you know what you're going to write about, you're not going to go out into the academic world and merely transport or transfer facts from one place to another. You're going to use sources and use information in a different way. Research is not a catchword to garner attention. This relates to the appeals, right? To ethos, pathos, logos, specifically ethos. Research is a word when it relates to the ethos appeal of credibility. And so a lot of times in advertising and in media, you'll find that people throw out current research boasts, current research proves that our product is, etc. And so it's not just a word to garner attention. Research is a way for us to understand something better, for us to contribute academic information to take a topic and transform it so we understand it in a different way. It's also not a mystic term separated from everyday life. That means it's not something that's so overly complicated that you can't go out and do your own, can't go out and conduct your own research in the real world. You can do that. You just need to know the steps and the process. Fortunately, most of what we've done in this class has been kind of reinforcing that process. You follow the same framework I've already introduced to you, the same way of narrowing your topic. You follow those same processes with your research topic. The only difference is you have to make sure that there's actual academic content, academic journals, etc., out there that can support that topic that you're interested in. If not, you may have to tweak it. What is academic research? The technical definition is a systematic process of collecting, analyzing, and interpreting information, data in this sense, in order to increase our understanding of a phenomenon about which we are interested or concerned. You can research literally anything in the world. One thing that research does is transform the topic. It takes the information that's out there in the academic world and it transforms it in some way. It looks at certain elements of a topic through a different lens or through a different perspective. It provides new insight that may not have already been provided or supported in other academic work that exists. So, with that being said, when you are conducting research, again, you're not summarizing. You're always going to be creating something that's different than content that already exists out there in the academic world. That's very important. But again, this definition is important because it highlights a systematic process, meaning that there are steps. There are certain things that you have to do to make sure that your topic is well supported, to make sure that there's enough sources out there, that it's narrow enough. But the ultimate goal is to learn more about a phenomenon. And when we say phenomenon in academia, that can mean anything. The research topics that we see are so varied. The main thing is that your topic has to be something that's rather complex for university research. It has to be something, some type of topic upon which opinion can be typically divided, in which someone may argue against you or may take the oppositional viewpoint. It has to be an argument. Again, segue from our last appeals and persuasion section. All academic writing is building an argument for yourself, and research is no different. You're going to be developing a topic, narrowing that topic, understanding what you want to discover about that topic. But that topic in itself, that particular topic is going to be something that you are going to really have to filter through a research process. Research brings sources and information in a new way to understand a problem or answer a question. You'll learn in a moment that you will develop your own questions for what you want to know about a topic, what we refer to as research questions. Benefits of research. It helps us understand more about a topic, specifically within our disciplines at this level, at the college level. We have certain specializations within psychology, within sociology, of course, within the medical field, right? And in the pharmacological fields and the veterinary fields. Each of our disciplines are so different and requires different ways of research, hence different writing styles like APA, AMA. All of that reflects this research process that's different based on a discipline. But we have different specializations within all of our disciplines, different writing styles. The goal is that in our majors or in our specific fields of study or focuses as we move forward into the world and start practicing whatever it is that we're studying, we have specific research interests. There are concepts that have already been well researched. There are concepts out there that have been experimented on, etc. Your goal is to add to that conversation, to constantly take this topic, phenomenon, or idea of which you're interested in researching in a certain discipline, taking that and adding to it in some way. The goal is to constantly continue the work that other people have done to refine the understanding about a topic or focus of research. Um, Reach conclusions and form opinions that you can both trust and defend. Again, you take yourself out of all of this. Your research itself is going to provide the opinions and support for what you're researching. You're not going to have anything to do personally with your research other than choosing sources, providing objective information. But if you follow this process, your conclusions that you reach in your research and the sources that you integrate is going to be credible. It's going to boost your own ethos, and thus you can feel good about producing that content in your own major or discipline and adding to that conversation that may exist regarding a certain topic. You're going to learn where to find information on a topic, how to pull in academic sources, and how to choose the right sources. Again, I mentioned this, but strengthening the ethos and pathos of your own writing, choosing sources that's going to ensure that your own credibility is bolstered throughout the process. So those are just a few research processes. Something I want to point out about research at the college level, the research that you do at the freshman or sophomore level tends to be research that's in the library. It's not experimental research. You're not going out and conducting a study, putting a research plan together. It's not like that. So when you look at this map here, you'll notice that the arrows are drawn all over the place. It's a very dynamic type of process. This particular process relates more to you going out and conducting research yourself, you designing a study in which there may be participants and collecting data through a study or a scientific study. The research you do in college leading up to your majors tends to be research that's in the library, looking at literary sources, looking at written sources, looking at studies that have been conducted and looking at the conclusion that's been drawn from them. So it's a little bit different. You're not going to go out and create this type of study. So if you're researching online more about research, you're going to see a lot of topics and processes you may not understand because a lot of those topics and processes are related to a slightly different kind of research in college, which is conducting a study. Just know that the research you're conducting here is going to be literary. It's going to be using sources that are already written and studies that have already been completed. The research process is not linear. There are general steps in a general chronological order you will follow, but you will constantly tweak this process. You'll go back and forth. It's not linear. For instance, if your topic is too broad or too narrow and you start going out into the academic world and start searching for academic sources and find that you can't produce any results, there's no journals that are going to support the topic that you are presenting, then you may have to adjust your topic to make it a little bit more broad or more narrow. 9 times out of 10, the issue with search results is the topic not being narrow enough, not making it specific enough. And if that's the case, that's where you go back to the critical analytical framework and you break that topic down and you find more narrowed, focused ways to discuss or observe that topic. You may need more sources. So after you get through some of your research paper, you may realize, wait a minute, I have to have 5 sources and I'm not really bringing a lot of credible outside data or research into this. I may need to go pick better sources. So you may have to return to the library search page and go look for more sources. You do not start research like this with certainty. You do not have a thesis statement that you assume to be true and then you support it to prove its truth. Instead, you have a topic you want to research. You look at the areas you want to research or the perspectives or how you want to research it. And then you let the research itself make the conclusion for you of the research. There are many times that people start researching and they think something to be true. They think their thesis statement and their topic is true. And then through their research find that it's the opposite. For instance, one student conducted research about autism diagnosis rates between the United States and Far East Asian cultures like South Korea. South Korea was her focus. And she assumed that because of the social stigma of mental health disorders in Asian culture, that there would be a much lower diagnosis rate in South Korea for autism rates. But through her research, she found the opposite.